Yo, what up, everyone? Welcome to the Portal Room. We're doing a panel tonight. Co-hosting, we got Christian. What up, Christian? How's it going, man?
What up, brother? Just settling in, ready for the discussion, see what comes up. How about yourself? How are you?
We're doing good on my end. Just the microphone is not working tonight, guys. So I got to use Bluetooth. So sorry if it's not the same on par quality, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do a good panel here tonight. So it's gonna be nice. See some people in the chat. We got John Strader, we got Non Cred, got Arden. Yeah. So very cool. Thanks, Strader. Appreciate that. Sorry, yeah, I know it's Bluetooth. It's decent. It's decent. It wasn't the mic quality that we had the other day with your great episode, but we're gonna work on it. We'll work on it. We got UFO intros up in the house, guys. I'm gonna toss up the link here for everybody. Um, just make sure, of course, if you're gonna jump on the panel, don't bring in any drama. That is all I ask. Thank you so much. All right, there it is for everybody for tonight. If anybody wants to join the panel. Uh, Discussion of the night is the state of ufology again. You know, what are these things? I don't know. It seems like there's a big stir going on right now with the community. So um, let's get your take on that, Christian. I know you don't really care too much about the politics or political figures or whistleblowers. But what's your take on the latest blowout here?
Well, what do you call it? I mean, mind you, like I leave room for whistleblowers. You know what I mean? Like their personal experiences, just like with everyone else. Like their personal experiences, I think those are for me um, where I find my disclosure. We talked about that before a lot. I think that sharing the experiences or that's how the disclosure process works. So, as far as whistleblowers are concerned, I listen to their experiences with the phenomenon, not necessarily, you know, the government aspect of it, all the classifications or, secret information, or whatever you want to call that kind of stuff. Not my cup of tea, really. But well, I guess they had that. Was it a hearing? I can't like. I'm not even really sure if it was a hearing
I think it
or
was a round table or something
yeah.
like that. Yeah,
They did
public
a they
round
did a
table.
podcast. Yeah.
They did a podcast with horrible audio,
Yeah, that's what they
basically.
did. Yeah. Um, I know there was. I think there was some testimony there about like specific factions of NHI. I think like the tall whites, the mantis beings, grays, and reptilians, right? So I think that was kind of a big thing to be said publicly in front
How
of.
do you feel about that though? Are you buying into that? Like, I'm not trying to discredit that at all, but I'm wondering what do you think about that? You think that there's any truth to those claims about the four species? I mean, obviously it's a part of the lore, but is that intentional to, I guess, obfuscate that narrative of the lore? I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't know either. I've heard a lot of people's experiences. A lot of people have had like firsthand experiences with these types of entities. So I can't just dismiss it completely and totally. Um, I think what's important is the context in which these things are being shared, right? Like if there's a narrative that's being put forward that I feel like could be um, construed as threatening, right? I think that that is something to pay attention to, not just because of like the possibility of there being a threat, but also like the way that threat narratives can be utilized to weaponize information, which is I think is
Hey,
a dangerous
Christian.
game. Yeah, yeah.
we got somebody coming up on the panel.
Oh, what we got?
We got Doug Craig.
Hey!
Yeah. Hey, they're gonna clip that. Don't do that.
Yeah, they're gonna watch out.
Hey, I thought I don't know anything about that. Not in here. What's up,
Maybe they
y'all?
can add tiers this time that are bigger.
Oh, you gotta follow your rules, man. Follow your own rules, dude.
Oh, shit. That's great. What's your take? What's your take, Non-Cred? I know you've kind of talked about some of your opinion on this whole photo gate, Elizondo gate, the whole
Right, right.
round table. What do you think?
Well, honestly, with the round table, it's kind of hard to have any like real good opinions because like the audio quality was just so bad. I haven't, I'm still, trying to find time to go and like make sure, I have a place where I can turn the volume up loud and hear it and all that. But with the Photogate thing, I mean, it's not the first, it's not the last time. There's a lot of anecdotes out there over the
Are
last
we gonna
7
get a
years
trilogy?
happening. I mean, I don't know, but it does seem that there's I mean, it's hard to say for sure because it's been a while since I went over there. Like I went over to UFO Reddit like the day after, and people were not happy over there. They were like, "How is this the person that's supposed to be doing this? Like if they can't, do it." I mean, geolocating so simple that, well, as you saw, a lot of people were able to do it.
That was impressive.
Yeah. So it's certainly seems unpopular. It's certainly plastered all over the headlines. Well, at least with the UFO friendly outlets. But even then, I mean, UFO friendly, right? I mean, they're not. It's not necessarily the best light we're being cast in. It's just really frustrating and annoying when this is like supposed to be like the person who's in a good position to advocate. And they have this opportunity in front of our elected representatives, and they go with a satellite picture of irrigation circles and say they got it this morning and it was taken by a pilot. It's just like it's not even just the picture itself. It's like
Yeah.
question, right? And then of course the response, it seemed a little well, I don't know the right words to say it, but let's just say it didn't feel like the accountability I wanted.
It was more like, sorry, tough shit, and it might happen again.
Pretty much. I don't
It
know. Would
makes
you
you
guys?
wonder, right, Cred? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who gave Lou the photo?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't he like check the photo himself before showing it? And I think there's like one of two scenarios that are playing out. Is that either Lou's getting bunk information from people? They could be using it to suss out people who are actually leaking information,
Mm-hmm.
or the other one being that they're trying to just discredit the whole movement altogether, and banking on individuals not having enough time, maybe in certain scenarios, to check the veracity of these photographs. Like there's so many variables when it comes to this thing.
Right. I mean, it certainly leaves you wondering, right? Like, what is the true intention here? And right, because it's either it kind of feels like there's some level of like deception or maybe something in some way nefarious or at least misleading, or it's like, are you guys really like you worked in the intelligence community for 20 years? You can't geolocate a satellite picture? Like you were just this credulous, this incompetent, which is disturbing in its own right if that was the case, right? Because this person is so boisterous in their confidence of themselves, right? And they're in such a prestigious, you know, key position. It's just, uh, just, you
It's
know.
it's embarrassing, man.
Well, dude,
comment-
it's just. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the whole situation. I'm just reading off some of the comments. The whole situation is just another level of button. Who's got the button? I liked this comment. Photogate equals not at the popular table in the cafeteria. That's good. I like it.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, a lot of this seems to be propagated by all the kids sitting at the cool table, you know, and they're very, very meticulous about who they don't and do let in there.
Oh yeah, very true. Estimate. He said he was going to be here. Look, his comments are at the way top. He messaged me. Yeah, where is Grider? I agree. We need to get him up in here. John, state of ufology equals ugh. What the f?
Yeah, dark days, I'd say. Lay ahead. And I feel like it's just always utilized in some way to discredit any type of movement that happens forward. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you would consider, like, if you do consider, like, everything with Skywatcher, like science, Nolan, all these things that have happened, right? It's like you get a little bit forward where it's like, oh, you get some evidence that isn't necessarily clear. There's not a whole bunch of clarity, and then you get like situations at hand at the moment where it feels like it just knocks everything back like 5 steps. It's a hard game of chess that I feel like we're all in the middle of at the moment.
Yeah, the the news headlines from Yahoo News, News Nation, the New York Post, and the Hindustan Times do not make it look like a serious subject. You know, it kind of just makes us look
Do you
ridiculous.
think that's part of the tactic, though? Like
I
with
mean,
that photo,
but that's like it
or you think
depends
it's just
because like
stupidity?
it's a part of the tactic. Like it's a part of the tactic. Like regardless, right? Like either like these people are like want to just like stigmatize it, right? And they're on the inside, and it's working to stigmatize it, or they aren't, as they say, they are who they say they are, doing what they say they're doing, and it's and there's somebody else that they're working against who's using their blunders as an easy opportunity to stigmatize it. That, or it could just be,
True.
that's just kind of where we're at in the news cycle, and like those like the news outlets I listed like cover this stuff regularly, and that could just be them kind of just taking the story there. You know what I mean? And it just, that's the end result is, a news story that can be stigmatizing.
Good point. Hey, Kimby,
What's up, guys?
Yo,
What up? What up?
Yo, Kimball, how are you?
Pretty good. May the 4th be with you guys. May the 4th be with you. I just came up with that joke. It's May 4th and like the Star Wars quote.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
That didn't hit. I'm sorry. I should have
Not
reacted.
bad. That was for you, man.
I got it. I mean, it's like damn near a national holiday, dude.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's been great.
I saw what Non-Credit was doing before he joined the panel. That's why he's not focusing in on here.
Oh, you saw that? I didn't know you could see that.
I don't see it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's great.
You need a time machine to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, you need a time machine to see that.
And then you need a teleporter to go to Paul's house.
Wait, where's Scream been?
Yeah, I know. What up, Doe? What up, Screen? He said he was working tonight, so all good. All good. He's making that bread, you know what I mean?
Nice.
Dude's gotta do what a dude's gotta do.
Yeah, by the way, can you hear me okay? Is my mic quiet?
No, you're good. You
Okay.
sound good. Yeah. Mine's probably horrible quality because I'm using Bluetooth tonight, but it happens. It happens. Screen in the lab doing his thing. I agree. Yeah. Probably. Kimball, what's your take on the photo gate?
I think I need to go back and listen to it. Maybe I'll try to find that and you could stream it of when he said that. Because I was listening to this space with Nick Gold and he was there and he kind of remembers the context of that photo being shown being slightly different. Where it was like an example of like something that's sent in. He doesn't know what it is. It was just like it's not like hey, this is a UFO. It's like hey, this is the kind of stuff I get sent all the time. You know, this one was just sent and I printed it off. I mean, I don't know if even if that was the case, I guess, like, I don't know. He already had the chandelier thing happen, right? So I just think he would be more careful, even if it was just like an example of an email he got, not even like but just the fact that like people are sending him stuff, you know? But yeah, honestly, it's really concerning. Like either he's not being above board or he's kind of incompetent, you know, and those are like very extreme ways to say two different, I guess, options. And it could be somewhere in between maybe, or like maybe somewhere along those lines. I just don't know how else to interpret it, I guess. So it's kind of concerning. It's confusing. It's disappointing. It's kind of funny, but I don't know what to think of it. And I kind of like your guys' approach, you and Christian, especially, just that like a lot of this stuff, I guess for you guys isn't as important, right? As I guess your interactions with the phenomena or however you would say it. But I don't know. I think like Darren King's someone I really respect a lot, and he definitely would be like a super experiencer or something. But he still follows this stuff, and I just think it seems like disclosure of some kind, even if it's not from like the government, right, top down, some kind of like open contact or revelation as to what's going on. All sides can agree on that. So just following it and thinking about it is important, I think. And I don't feel like I have anything smart to say about it because I want to listen to Darren King and what's his name, Nathan from Calling All Beings. They do Liminal Frames, a podcast, and they kind of like go over the past couple weeks. And so I want to listen to that, honestly. But it's pretty much, those are my thoughts.
Hell yeah. What do you guys want to get into? Christian, what do you got for us?
What do I got? Oof. Well, I mean, we've got the usual run of the mill. You know, it seems like everything is kind of been pointing to like all eyes on the government right now. So, and kind of this botch that happened. So, what else is going on, right? Like, where else should we be looking? Because usually there's like it's a misdirection tactic as well, that's going on. I think that we should be trying to look more at the science, right? That's happening. I think it's good to like Mike Masters, what he's doing, Gary Nolan, like we should be focusing more on that, as far as I'm concerned, instead of like a photograph. Because that's where you're going to get your proof. You're going to get your proof in the data, right? And they've got data. So I'd be interested to see and know what exactly Gary Nolan's up to at the moment. Does anybody have any idea?
He's probably making hybrids in a lab. I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I know they're right now, like Skywatcher is in with MUPAS, and I'm pretty sure that's Jim Segala, and they're doing like experiencer studies right now to get hard data. And there's links to the website. You can actually look at the study. There's actual data in the study that you can look at where they're measuring experiences, gamma rays during an experience, like the before and after of an experience, like all the data's there. So there's actual science that's being done right now that people aren't paying attention to because of a botched photograph. So I'd say have a look at that.
Yeah.
Damn. That's point.
Really good. That's important.
Oh, we have a request here. I think I know who this is. Rooster is coming up. Rooster. Hello, Rooster.
Hi, hello. Hello, how are you?
Darth
Me,
Vader.
Bruce.
Hello. Do we have an anonymous caller from Area 51?
Yes, I have all the inside secrets. Yes. What do you want to know?
Is Bob Lazar legit?
Yes, yes, he is. He's the real deal. Now, hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, dude?
The space reveal we all deserve. Thank you, Grider.
What's going on, Grider? What do you think, man? Where are you at with all this? It's all fake. It's all BS. Where are you at? Let's hear some thoughts.
With what specifically? Sorry, like I haven't been
With
watching the
Photogate.
stream.
We're talking about Photogate. We're talking about Photogate.
Oh, I think more than likely Elizondo's doing it on purpose, right? That's the only explanation that I can think of.
Oh wow, okay. That's a different answer from what we've heard tonight.
Not true.
Okay.
It's
Why
the
do you
general
think that, though?
consensus.
I just said that, but yeah.
Okay, well then me and Kim
I
are
didn't
on the
hear.
same page.
I wasn't paying attention too
Oh,
much.
you're
I'm
good,
sorry.
you're
That's my bad. I'm like
Your
running
non-cred
3
did
things
too,
at a time.
but it's whatever.
Well, I think I said it could totally be not. I'm 100%, but
Right.
it feels. I mean, it seems like there's absolute proof, right? Demonstratable, very easy, just anecdote after anecdote after anecdote that the mask they wear is not the face they have, right? Like whatever they're doing, it's not exactly as they, give it to us.
They're not above board, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, rarely is PR like truly representative of what's behind it, but it just kind of like hits a point in this subject where it's just like, what's going on here, guys? I think maybe you could level with us a little bit. Kind of feels like you need to level with us and like you're watching this at the very least.
Look, the estimate says I think you guys give these people too much credit. Whoa.
I mean, it's too much credit. I mean, one of the things I lean towards is that they're just, it's kind of like Estimate said, or I think it was Estimate, like the UFO fanboys, right? And like, whatever this whole movement built around them is like they're doing it out of their garage, basically. And like, they're about as competent or as incompetent as, a couple handfuls of semi-organized people can be, but certainly, screwed the pooch on a prime time, like a prime chance to give compelling like evidence or data to like why it's important to have like a reporting system instead of just making it look like it would be a waste.
I don't know. It just feels like a show, a lot of it. Like like I said, here we are talking about a photograph and kind of what the motivations are versus looking at the hard data that I was talking about with Nolan and Mupass and Jim Segala. Like there's real science being done. But of course, that doesn't really get any attention at all. What we get is a fake photograph, and a bunch of people sitting around not really doing anything except for putting on a show.
Well, maybe here, let me throw this one out there because when you were talking about the earlier Christian, sorry, you made me think about this. I mean, Avi Loeb was there, right? Like Avi Loeb's another one of these like academics who's like trying to like open the question up, right? And he got a lot of flack because he asked for $1 billion, right? Which, as I understand it and assume it to be, was for a full of science approach to asking this question and like looking into these things. And I don't know. I feel like once that, gets spread around to a full science of approach, it's actually not that much money, right? Like we give an organization $30 million a year, or at least they have a $30 million a year budget to look at several, radio frequent, like to ask that question specifically in radio frequencies, right? Like they put all their time and energy into like that spectrum, that one approach, right? But if you keep giving out $30 million budgets till you hit $1 billion, I mean, you might be a little bit closer to expanding that apparatus of search and like science. Like it just seems like a very reasonable budget.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you Like if you're trying to actually get real data, the instrumentation that's needed is going to cost a lot of money. It's going to cost a whole hell of a lot of money. And what we see with like I'd say like the American Congress and representatives is very surface level. We're not talking about like these sorts of things, even though in my personal opinion, this is the biggest question that humanity is facing, in a lot of respects. And I know a lot of people have felt this way for 70 plus years now. And I think that that's where a lot of the frustration comes. And when we get a photograph like this that kind of takes the focus off of, hey, we actually need real money, we need real focus, real data, people start to get angry, and then instead of us actually, coming together and kind of continuing forward, we start to tear each other apart because we're so frustrated with the lack of movement. It's just always going to be this way, I think, with the government in regards to disclosure, because I don't feel like they want the information out there. They want control of the information. They want to know the ins and outs of all of it before anyone else will ever get their hands on it at all. And that, I mean, obviously that's like a domination sort of mindset, which I understand, right? If you're the American government, you're going to want the upper hand as far as any of this stuff is concerned. But I don't think, especially with compartmentalization of information, you're never going to be able to understand what we're trying to understand, because there's too much red tape, so I don't know. Here we are, still sitting in the circle, waiting for something.
All right, we have a breaking clip of Avi Loeb here. Hold on 1 second.
And we hold the world ransom for $1 million.
Classic. Classic.
That's great.
I had to.
I mean,
Okay.
it's even funnier since the Galileo project. I think it was like $1 million, right? And they like got 2 sensor system like packages out of it. And he's like in the movie, he's like, I need $1 million. It's like, sir, inflation. Okay, 1 billion.
Hey, we got a new speaker. How's it
Hey,
going?
it's going all
Welcome.
right. I didn't even think about it until earlier, Kimball. Star Wars.
Oh,
Today.
snap. Nice.
It's getting, I think this, to go on the Star Wars theme, this Elizondo photo thing is feeling more like it's a trap to me.
Yeah.
So,
Another good Star Wars.
feeling,
reference.
yeah. It just feels like the button who's got the button, like misdirection. Like a absolute what? A lot of us are, I mean, shoot, anybody who's got eyes to see, right? It's this old, it feels like old playbook plays from the 60s and the 40s that we're trying to use again desperately, hoping that we'll all be so distracted that we're not going to be paying any attention, or God forbid, do our own research. And all the while it helps those out there that are the avid, bless them, but avid debunkers who refuse to listen to experiencers and validate that. It kind of nods to wishing, I know we kind of have in our own way, but wishing that there were more Dr. Hyneks out today. I know in kind of a way there's a lot of them here,
Yes.
but to the level where you have people that we know of that are allowed in with the Pasulkas and all the others that get to meet, get the books from the Vatican and get to know all the whatevers. I mean, who knows if that's even the true story, right? It was disappointing. It just, for me, it just felt like misdirection. It just felt like, okay, so you guys are doing this and you're going to hang this bogus thing and then it's going to have a bogus story, and then what are you really doing? Like, why are we looking over here? Why do you want me to look at this? Because the last time we all look at this, it's usually because something else is happening. So, I mean, it's disappointing. This whole thing is, right? Like, I'm in agreement with so many people who have already felt this way for a long time, that the disclosure is kind of happening with all of us. You know, like, we're hep to the garbage, we're hep to the misdirection, and to quote Chris O'Leary from "We Know What We Know," right? Or Fringe, she says the same things. Like, I know what I know, and if you're an experiencer or you've seen something, you know, and you know that the tangible proof, which Christian, I agree that there's some stuff out there that is leading us closer to being able to do that. Um, it's just in a nutshell, there's too much stuff on the table. You can't just in a nutshell all of this. Other than they're obviously doing misdirection.
Yeah,
That's my long-winded short answer.
I think that was really good. And for me, it seems like there's, with ufology, kind of this idea of borrowed faith. It's more of like a religious term, but some people don't know, right? Like maybe Chris O'Leary knows what he knows and Fringe does, and maybe you do, but I don't know. I think a lot of us understand we're open-minded enough to acknowledge this as a reality, right? The phenomena, and have had our own experiences, but I would say almost all of my experiences I still have some doubt about them being anything other than something prosaic. So I don't know. I think, to add on to what you were saying, it's more than just like Lou Elizondo might be, a little bit incompetent. It's sort of like, this is a low information zone, like, right? This whole topic. And so we kind of have to rely on these other people who have seen craft, or, whatever the claim is, they have they know, right? But that's kind of the whole rub. Like if they're the only ones who know and there's no actual evidence that comes forward, are we just telling fairy tales, right? I mean, it's just lost my train of thought there for a second, but okay. So Lou Elizondo sort of was the guy, we don't need to rehash this, but he reushered this whole topic in, right? I think a lot of us took the topic more seriously when he did what he did in 2017. And so now that he's either not being above board, maybe disinformation, or he's just super incompetent, both of those have implications that are pretty concerning. And I think someone said the other day, I think maybe it was Estimate, kind of hypothesizing. So like, has Eric Davis even seen this stuff for himself? Or like, did he just,
That's a good question.
Has he, I think Estimate was like, was he referring to like the alien interview, or like who are these people? Like, even these people we trust, like Kasky or whoever it is, are they just referencing like one of these things that they fell for, right? I mean, if Elizondo, the director of OSAP and all this, does the chandelier and then does this, it's just like, okay, this is all kind of stupid, maybe. Like, I feel kind of embarrassed a little bit.
And then there's always that risk that, like, this is the fumbling patsy, right? Like, he's going to fumble it because we actually have a savior. We have someone who knows better. And so it opens that door, which ironically is very, like, they just released the JFK files, whatever stuff most people, everybody knew, except for maybe the Israel stuff. But it's reminiscent of that, very reminiscent of, I mean, that's an old formula. So it's although, you throw it in, he could be fumbling on purpose, but I wouldn't put it past any of them. I wouldn't put it past any of these situations when it comes to some kind of truth or disclosure, to have it be where we're going to have someone who really knows. Now, he didn't know the way this person knows, or, and whoever that'll be, maybe it's a Nordic, who knows? But there's always that as well. I don't know. I'm very much with whoever it was that in the chat said, what the F?
It'll be interesting seeing what he does moving forward. I mean, 2 bad photos inside of 6 months. It's not good, and it's really not good because you have to ask yourself, even if he's being legit, can we afford a third? And how quickly could something like that happen? I mean, this one's already
No.
really, really bad. And so you kind of got to wonder, like, if his head is in the right place, his heart's in the right place, you would imagine he'd step away at this point. Just for the good of everything, right? It was interesting, dude. I ran across a clip like an hour ago where he's talking about in September, where he's like, I want to pass the torch. It's time for me to move on because the more that I stay, I make mistakes, and it's not going to be good. And which was kind of weird. It was like a former self, giving advice to his later self. It's really a wild clip to watch now. It's almost like, damn, maybe he can remote view because he's fucking seen that one coming. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting seeing him going forward, but he probably should step back, which you hate to tell people what to do, but I mean, if your intentions are good, I assume that's what he's probably going to do.
That's a good point. I think you're right.
Well, I just wonder how much money, I mean, you make from these speaking events. I mean, that has to be a big factor on why he doesn't want to step out of the limelight. That's all I have to say about that. But I agree, man. I don't know if this community could handle a third terrible
I'll just
photo.
know real quick, Paul. It's interesting that both these photos that Matt just referenced came out after his book came out. So it's like I don't know what to make of that. It's just funny how this is happening after that happened.
Well, then you had the party balloon at the start of TTSA with Melons, so it's like you got trouble on that front too. I don't even know who they would put in, so it's like even from the start of this thing, we started off with bad images. It's never really been, never been pristine, I guess is the way you can put it.
It definitely feels like there's like an element where it's like really like ad hoc. At least if you go with like the story they give, because like when Christopher Mellon like he's confronted about that photo, he's just like, "Oh, is my assistant? They use Google image search and searched UFO. It's supposed to be demonstrated," and it's just like, okay. But do you not get why we have to be careful and thoughtful? Just like eye roll, man.
Yeah, he seemed pretty shook up in that video where he apologized, and I kind of wondered to myself too, because I think it's on purpose. I do. This is my opinion on it, and I kind of wondered if he was shook up because if his whole plan is to kind of get this to a high level and bust the bubble and and put the stigma back on it for good. This might have happened a little too early. He might have dropped the ball here. He might have pissed a lot of people off a little early in the plan. And he's kind of shook up about it because it's already looking like he's going to have to get out of there. I wonder about that too.
I don't know, man. It just plan seems like a glass half full there, man. It feels so ad hoc. Like what they do. It feels like they think in like weeks and months, not years,
I don't disagree with that either, though. I mean, it could go that way. Yeah, it could. I can't remember who was talking about that. Somebody was saying that Elizondo and Mellon plan this stuff out every like 6 or 8 months out. Like that's kind of the way they view it. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't think we'll get a new picture or a video or anything from them anytime soon, though. They're probably going to hold off on doing anything like that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, they should have known how it was going to go down after Tom DeLonge's Instagram with the log, right?
Yeah. Well, shoot, TTSA's got some shows and everything coming out. That's what Tom's working on, TV shows and stuff like Legendary Pictures and stuff. So there's going to be things from the TTSA front, but I don't know about these guys. I mean, we got to hear from Congress first. I mean, I don't think Anna Polina Luna, Burleson, or anyone has even like commented on this yet, which is not a great sign either. And then you look at like how Anna Polina Luna was already mad at Elizondo after that hearing last year, saying she doesn't want to read the book and doesn't want to hear about the book. And so it's like compound interest, man, as continues to add up. And it's at some point you wonder, are they going to start turning away from even dealing with these guys? Because everybody's going to get lumped in with Elizondo on that. Everybody on that panel will get lumped in.
Yeah.
I remember that though too, right? Like the disdain that Luna had, like it was, I don't know, it seemed a little subtle, but at the same time we all knew who she was talking about. So that's a good point, dude. Sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say, Kimball? Was it you or was it non-cred?
Non-cred, I think.
Sorry about that.
What
Go
was
ahead.
I gonna say? Oh, I remember. It's I mean, I guess we just gotta keep our fingers crossed, right? That there's still actual couple like hearings, like actual hearings, not a presentation, but actual hearings in a couple weeks, right? I mean, that might set the tone for things, but you know, it's like, who are they gonna bring up this time? I mean, they had to put out like a whole book, and like it was a several year process to get Lou in there. So it's like, who are they like? I'm assuming they're gonna try to send that Matt Brown guy or whatever, but I don't know. So far, that
Probably.
feels a little shaky for various reasons. You know what I mean? Without unpacking it, it just that feels shaky. I don't know what they plan. Like, what are they even planning to do? I don't know.
Yeah, what's everybody's take on this Matthew Brown guy? Anybody?
I liked him. I want to hear what non-cred thought was shaky. It's been a minute, so
Ooh,
I have to.
yeah.
I need to like review even what he's all of what he said, but I found him compelling.
I mean, take me with a grain of salt here, right? Because I'm regurgitating things I hear, right? As opposed to like looking at the actual source material and methodically making sure I have every aspect of what I say right. But
Yeah.
like it seems as though it is possible that this is you know, like sort of a mid-level official, right? I mean, this is obviously not like the head of anything, right? Like this is a working member of the intelligence community. And like so far as I understand it, there's like some reason to believe it's like just connected to a war game, right? And like, I mean, maybe I mean, obviously there's more to it than we know, right? I mean, whatever it is more like we don't know exactly what happened, right? But like it just if trying to get the government to acknowledge and tackle unknowns in the world is like your thing, right? And you're it just doesn't feel like it's not like David Grush where it's like I investigated the government and like there's a bunch of stuff going on. It's like I'm this guy and I saw this thing this one time and then I wrote a report about it several years later. And it's just, I mean, it'll be convincing for us, but like, I don't know, is it actionable, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know. But then again, it also kind of seems like the play with him might not be Congress because like when I listen to sort of like talking heads more associated, we'll just call it with the party line, right? Like Mike Disclosure, right? Like it would seem they're trying to say like, oh, this man's like talking about classified information without like seeking like approval for like saying it, and like, are you guys gonna arrest him? Huh? Are you gonna vindicate him? Huh? But I don't know. It's too early to tell, and of course, you know, they're milking it, so we don't even have his whole story yet. Yet we're all trying to piece it together, come up with
Oh yeah,
a take.
they're so milking it, dude. It's like such a great point.
I know, but at the same time, dude, I mean, like I said, dude, like they pulled numbers. I mean, yeah, I don't know like what other like platforms they're on and like what kind of revenue they generate there, but like they get plays like, I don't know, average Hearts of Iron 4 YouTubers who oftentimes if they live in like like the ones that do it full time, like, you know, it's easier to live off that money in Romania, right? You know what I mean? I'm just like, that ain't California living money. Like, you know, but it's probably ends to a means, right? And like, you got to do the whole thing. You got to put some pizzazz on it, right? Because you're probably going to make your real money with your TV deal or your whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. Terrestrial, what's your take on Matthew Brown? I'd love to get yours, and then
Yeah.
Kimby, if you want to go after Grider, I don't even know if he's here still, and then Miss McGillicuddy after, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, look, the basis of his story, him kind of just stumbling across the files is always like really weird, right? I mean, it's already hard to kind of take that. But I think he comes off similar to David Grush when I was listening to the interview with him. I don't think he doesn't sound like a liar to me. I don't think that's the real case with it, but he definitely doesn't seem very sure, you know, of what he's seen or really what he thinks is going on with it. But yeah, I mean, the more we learn, the more we'll get out of it. But I think really he should go to Congress. at this point. I mean, why put your face out there the way that he did? Why do all that if that's not really your plan? You know, if you want to get your safety, you want to get your word out there and be taken seriously, that's the best way for him to do it. And in a couple of weeks, you know, they have that opportunity. So my guess is that he'll be there. I think he'll be at the hearing.
Good point. I agree for the most part. Yeah, Kimby.
I forgot. I don't really have a lot to say, honestly. I need to go back and watch it. I liked his story about the Russian, like the Russian vessels. That was like interesting, but it does make you think, like in context of especially like Elizondo. I don't know, man. I don't know what to think of any of it, sort of. But I thought he was compelling. So
we're gonna have to wait 2 more episodes to make a final observation, I guess, right?
I need to go rewatch it, basically.
The one last thing I'll say on it is if he ends up being correct at all, I mean, the biggest people I think that have a stand to gain from it is probably Elizondo and Grush, because he's, you know, kind of vouches, essentially gives Elizondo some credit because he said the picture of him was on the file. That kind of boosts his credibility there. And then supposedly if you mention Grush's name, you get fired, you get reprimanded. So that kind of is like a little side way of boosting their credibility. So I don't know, that I wonder about that. That almost ties them back in there. You have that opportunity for kind of circular reporting. That's like a little in for that. It's not a big one, but it's like, it's there, you know, if that makes sense.
That's what it makes me think of, really. Because like basically what Matt just said, when I watched Matt, I thought he was really compelling, and he just seemed sincere and not as like weird, I guess, as some of the other whistleblowers. I'll just leave it there. But
not as weird.
But now with Elizondo, it does make you think, like, who are these? What is this program? What are they doing? And who's I mean, it just is like, there's always going to be some level of incompetence, I guess, in government programs. And Nick made that point today in his space, Nick Gold. But at the same time, it's just, it makes you kind of I guess I'm looking at Matthew Brown's that episode and his testimony differently, even. I just am like rethinking things right now, I guess.
For sure. Let's see. Is Grider still here? Grider, Rooster, John Blitch Society.
Yes, I am. I'm just here waiting for my moment. Yeah.
What's your assessment on Matthew Brown?
It's all fictional.
Yeah.
I think that. I mean, it's clear that the slide that the Immaculate Constellation was found in, that information was found in, was about the Shriver War Games, right? It's all fictional. I think the war game was, the scenario, right, was based in, it was supposed to be based as if it was occurring in 2028, right? And the thing about a war game is that, you're not going to put your actual special access program names, the real names, and that would be a nickname, by the way. Like, all special access programs have a nickname, and it's an unclassified 2-word nickname, but it's not going to be it's not going to be in any way representative of like what is actually occurring in the program, right? So Immaculate Constellation makes you think of like stealthy satellites, right? And and that's literally, I think, what the purpose of it is supposed to be, right? Is like some type of intelligence platform based in space that can see, stuff like UFOs, right? So it wouldn't be named Immaculate Constellation. It screams like, to me, it just screams fictional, and that this guy, is completely misinterpreting what he found, and kind of being coached, I think, by Corbell, who has a history of being coached. Corbell has a history of coaching people, going back to like 29 Palms, where he was promising, this young group of Marines, promising them the world, saying, "Oh, I've got a Netflix documentary that that you guys could star in, that could potentially be coming out. I'm shopping it around to other TV networks. You guys get to possibly go to Congress and testify in front of congressmen." And I mean, it's like, this is the type of and with 29 Palms, Corbell basically coached this this young group of witnesses into kind of giving the answers that he wanted, them to give him. And I think this is what's happening here. You can kind of sense, yeah, Matthew Brown definitely seems a lot more polished than some of the prior witnesses, as in it's hard to kind of tell, but you can still tell that Corbell and Knapp are asking Matthew Brown a lot of leading questions and kind of framing the questions and the discussion. They're really guiding him, really is really what it seems like. They talked,
So true.
twice as much as he did during that interview. And I just think, yeah, this is all blown out of proportion. Like, I hate to say it, but I think that probably the photo of the triangle and like the Russian ship, it sounds like, that USS Trepang photo, which was a submarine photo taken from a periscope. And it was the triangular balloon, targeting balloon, that busted up out of the water that is famous. And it turns out, yeah, that was just targeting balloons. It just sounds like this guy is being honest, but I think he's probably, getting carried away with like what he actually saw. You're not gonna just the fact that it was inside of the war game, PowerPoint really is just, it just, I think it's fictional and it sucks, but I think that's what it is.
Damn. I love it though. I love that take because it's honest. Because in a way, whenever I was watching that interview too, Grider, I was like, why are they leading him so much with this interview? He's like, so wait. So what you're saying is, and then they would create this whole narrative and then bring it back down to like just a basic question to kind of coax him into answering a specific way. And it was just like, this is, I don't know, this is too weirdly orchestrated. And the fact that they had been working with this dude for months or maybe even years is just, I don't know, I'm very suspicious of that too. So that's a great observation, Grider. And I think I heard you mentioning that the other day too in one of your spaces. So yeah, man, I can't disagree with that. Miss McGillicuddy, go ahead. What do you think about Matthew Brown? And then Christian, if you got anything, I know Christian doesn't care about any of this, but if you got a thought, we'll hear it after. Go ahead.
At first, and I agree with Campbell in the fact that, for lack of a better term, he seemed less odd, kind of just like a guy who saw some stuff, right? But I absolutely agree with Grinder because my I'm just gonna call it my MK Ultra senses were like, okay, so this is they've been with him for how many months before this, and this is the result. Okay, so this is going to be another misdirection thing. This is going to be the witness that saw something that we're going to paint. We're going to use it however we're going to use it. You can. I'm not going to not to get off topic, but when we look at the way they fumbled cases that weren't even involving ufology, except for maybe Michael Aquino's connections in the military. But like with the finders and the church hearings, it's like we had people who saw, who knew, who even were victims. And you get so here's your proof, right? And it's still meh. Oh, what? Nothing, nothing to see here. Well, with this, we're getting almost like the opposite of they're not showing us a damn thing. But we know there's a whole bunch that's actually there. They're just presenting it as in this, they're following that same system, whether it's the judicial or the government system, this whole, dog and pony show of everything they've got to do down to the letter. And it's still, it's all systems that are designed specifically so that they can do whatever the heck they want. And so when it comes down to getting any kind of truth out of it, like immediately when they mentioned that Immaculate Constellation was in the war game, I was like, oh, Ender's Game. Like we've all been pre-programmed for this stuff. So it's just, honestly, it's like really laughable to me. It was, I hope I did hear some people saying like, hey, This guy needs to get a good attorney and protect his family. And yeah, because like he's going to be ostracized, he's going to be spotlighted because he came out and he was, as far as I'm concerned, he was the guy that they chose, right, to come forward. Because you'd have to be a damn fool to not think that there is tons. I mean, I don't have a number for you, but it's a lot more than him that are people that could give complete testimony. And be telling the truth, but they're not going to allow that. It's just, this is the way it is. It's like, we're in the Truman Show. Your wife is not your wife. She's your wife for the show. She's selling cocoa in the morning to you while you're at the table. I mean, that's what it feels like. It feels, and you know, there's a bunch of people in in all over the world who are just eating it up. You know, there's many different levels to this of where everybody is in as far as waking up, experiencing it or not experiencing it, have their eyes open or not have their eyes open. But something, it's you cannot put it past the fact that there's a guy behind the curtain. There's always going to be a guy behind the curtain. I mean, and he's usually never who you thought it was, even though I think it's the same actor that played the guy at the gate. You know, there's always someone with a dual role. I don't know. I thought it smelled like, just smelled bad. You know what I mean? It seems like that's the guy. And I'm not knocking the guy like at all or his
That's fair.
experience. I'm just saying, but again, what WTF, right?
Yeah, I agree. The more I have been like involved with like government disclosure, if that's what you want to call it, or ufology as a whole, the more it becomes clear to me that I feel like, you know, it started like the whole thing started with, you know, David Grush kind of giving his testimony, and how that testimony became public very quickly. And it ties into what you've said quite a few times as well, Paul, about, you know, why would he come out and say this stuff publicly, you know, when everyone is just gonna, these people are just gonna, you know, move the stuff immediately and it's gonna disappear forever once again. The more I'm involved in it, the more it looks like an operation in order to identify leaks within this system. All of it. The whole entire thing. Like David Grush was the catalyst for it. And now you're seeing where the information leaks are. So that way they can bury it forever and you'll never see it again. So that's the concerning part for me. I felt like that once again since the beginning. Obviously, like I want to hold out hope, like I think a lot of other people do. But I think the writing is on the wall as far as that's concerned. Because this, a long time ago, it would have been handled behind the scenes and we would have gotten an announcement from the president, you know, who would have came out and said, listen, guys, we have something to disclose to you. We're not alone in the universe. We have technology that, you know, defies the laws of physics. But no, this entire operation is in order to identify leaks or bad actors within this system who are leaking information about these things. All of it.
Woo! I wish we had the spaces applaud sound effect right there. Yeah, dude. No,
I put my
totally.
thumbs up. Did you catch that? I was like, yeah.
Yeah. That was it. God, dude. I don't even know how to respond to that. We got Chris Meyer up on the panel, though. What's up, Chris Meyer? How you doing tonight, man? What's good?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. It's good to see everybody here.
Yeah, we got a full house tonight. Chris Meyer, what do you think about Matthew Brown? That's our question here. What's your consensus?
Matthew Brown, I don't know who that is.
Wow. Good.
I just got here.
Lucky guy. Yeah, you're lucky, man. And then there's another whistleblower too. We got a NASA whistleblower that it's like just nonstop.
Oh, yeah. What's
just
the
never
guy's
stops.
name, Grider? Do you know what his name is?
I don't know.
Hmm.
No idea. Some doctor, I
NASA
think.
dude.
Something. Yeah, NASA dude. You know, hey, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we have
my
our
goal.
own. We have our own NASA whistleblower, Michael. I
I know.
mean,
Where is
we
he?
got Desmo, right? You know, like where'd Desmo go? Like
No,
he's our inside man, or he's supposed to be.
I
he's
just think,
he's
guys, we got to remember Jason Sands will always be the greatest whistleblower, though. And like
No,
the way
Oh
he
yeah,
came out,
absolutely.
you know, to the public, I thought that was
Totally agree.
he's a liar.
the space was incredible.
I know it was, but dude, since we're off Twitter, like I feel like I can kind of speak. You know that he's not like Jason Sands' story is not it's not genuine, right? Kimball, like deep down, man, you gotta know, dude, after everything that like after all the stuff that has been talked about, all the evidence that's been put forward, um, and I mean, right? Like, do you truly still believe that his story that he's telling the truth about everything? Sorry to turn it confrontational. I mean, I can be quiet if you guys want me to stop.
no, it's
No,
fine.
I was being sarcastic, by the way. I thought we were disparaging the idea of whistleblowers for a second. Just a little bit like Christian and Grider went really like black pill with it, and I think I agree in a lot of ways. It's all funny. Like I never said I believed Jason Sand's story ever, but yeah, I think I hosted that space, so clearly he's the best whistleblower. I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got
Real
Charles
quickly,
McNeil. You
I
know,
want to hop in there, Grider, just for a second. I want to say that I believe Jason Sand's experience. What do you call it? I believe that he also that he believes that he experienced what he experienced as far as his cave encounter. There's a lot of things as far as experiencers are concerned, um, where they go through these mental things. They have these experiences where they perceive things that not necessarily would fit into the box of your base level reality or the understanding of your reality. So I personally believe Jason. What do you call it? As far as the program is concerned, I can't say. With all of, like I said, government disclosure, that's not my wheelhouse, but people's experiences are, and I believe Jason's experience, and I think that um, all the other government stuff, like I don't pay much attention to that, but the man himself, I think Jason's a good man. What do you call it? And I think that he's been through some heavy duty shit. And kudos to Jason for stepping up and doing what he does and actually coming into the public and saying and being open to scrutiny and coming to us like that. That takes a lot just for a normal person, right? To come out and like share their own experiences. So I support Jason personally. He's a relative. He's First Nation. You know what I mean? And I think that we should support experiencers. We don't have to support the government aspect of disclosure, but we should support individuals' experiences. So that's my take on
I'm
that.
giving thumbs up emojis right now, Christian. Are you
yeah, I can't really go against that, man. Like, I agree. Like, I mean, if we're gonna break it down to like an individual, look at it as like Jason Sands as the individual experiencer, then yeah, I guess there's nothing I can say about that. Like I'm definitely with you, but kind of in line with that, like sorry if this is gonna derail, but you guys are aware of what's happening, what's about to happen with John Blitch, right? And Chris O'Leary. Have you guys heard about this? It's kind of, I mean,
Uh-oh,
it
what
should be
happened?
like it should be front page of like the Experiencer Daily or whatever you guys pass around to keep each other informed. The John Blitch is going to start trying to separate experiencers from abductees and kind of branch off people who have been abducted, people who have that experience from normal experiencers or your average experiencer, non-abductee. And there's going to be it's going to be like an entire new canon of ufology and books and like TV shows and documentaries. That's what's going to be happening here in the next couple of years. And I just want to know what you guys think about that kind of John Blitch, kind of trying to separate experiencers. That's exact words: separate experiencers and abductees. And then he's going to take the abductees and kind of try to make it like
Wait,
a
who said
cultural
that?
thing, like a movement. John Blitch.
Hasn't that been happening though? I mean,
No.
hasn't that kind of been happening like already? Like what you just said, even with like people like Chris O'Leary, like it's already like happening in the community where it's like somebody will talk about the orb people or or seeing like a shadow entity or having sleep paralysis, and then you got Chris O'Leary, tumbling into the room. I'm an expert on aliens and flying saucers. Your experiencer story means nothing, yada yada. So, I mean, isn't that kind of already happening?
Yeah, Chris told me about that like a month ago. I think he was. It was just, what I thought was weird, Grider, is he initially, because I interviewed him back in December, and then I want to say in February, around February, Amy did a podcast with him, and I swear he said Blitch reached out to him and was like sketchy. He was like super down on Blitch originally. Do you remember that, Grider? You were like making jokes about it, I think.
Yeah, he changed his tune pretty quickly.
Yeah, like I wonder what happened.
It's something you got to ask Chris O'Leary, I guess. Yeah, I have no idea, but yeah, he did a complete 180. So
I agree with Paul's take on kind of the separation that's already happening naturally. And we've talked a lot about this before in length about how actually it's funny we're having a space today, and I was talking with Y Wolf a little bit about this, along with the host of the space, about how there is like this almost insatiable need for people who are involved in this topic to debunk other people's experiences. Like it comes from some place of just sometimes even malice, it seems like. And I was told an interesting story about, a lot of these individuals who are like, it was like a debunkers conference or something like that. I can't remember it verbatim, but a lot of these people who were like very like volatile debunkers were part of like a very like fundamentalist religious home, and that it was like that the meeting of the two immovable objects, right, and the in between of these individuals having the like insatiable need to try to debunk anything that individuals would consider supernatural or out of the normal like accepted zeitgeist. Um, so I think that it's interesting as an experiencer of the phenomena, being in a community where experiences aren't really accepted, or the experiencers, um, unless it's by the scientists that are in these programs who actually want to get to the real answer. That to me is always wild, is how so many individuals are like, no, 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 this isn't real. There's no data to prove it. But yet, the behind the scenes is, the experiencers have been studied for years, and they're the ones that are utilized in order to, contact the phenomena. Even now, like you got Skywatcher saying like that they bring in the phenomena, like psionics, whatever. So a lot of it's a hard. This is a hard place to be for experiencers, is what I'll say. Because we've got a lot of trauma. We bring that. We try to share it, and a lot of times we're attacked for it. So I don't know. Something has to change in the conversation. If people really want disclosure, I think experiencers need to be in the conversation. They need to be able to tell their experiences, and they don't need to be chastised for it, you know? And I could talk about that for hours, but that's my take on it. There's natural lines that are being divided and being divvied up because of this specifically. So
Christian, is there a fair point to make about the polarization of a hostile experiencer? I know that that could be maybe some of the disdain that I think some of the other side of the community may be experiencing as well. And I'm not going to point out anybody specifically, right? But I mean, that seems to be something as well that I think a lot of people are running into as of lately. So, what do you think about that? You know?
yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all with what you're saying, and it's very important as an experiencer how you present yourself. In situations like this, and who you're going to choose to engage with and give your energy to, and how you're going to react to people who are there specifically to antagonize, because that's another aspect of this. There's going to be people that are going to antagonize you over your experiences. There are people who are just not going to believe you, and you have to be okay with that. you know um, but you've also got experiencers who are like in the throes of something that's so ontologically shocking for them, and they feel like they have to tell everyone, and they come on very strong. They've had these experiences that are so real to them, right? That they can't believe that you can't believe them, you know? And when that happens and you're already in a state of like most experiencers, in my opinion, stay in a fight or flight type of mindset because it's so high stress when you're going through these things. That any little thing will set them off. So, for an experiencer, if you're looking for advice on how to approach the topic or the community in general, like on UFO X or platforms with debunkers and things like that, you're gonna have to ground yourself first. That's like the first step you're gonna have to take. And then you're going to have to be able to use your discernment to wade through your experiences, so that way you can purvey exactly what you're trying to say. But you have to leave room for these for other individuals who aren't going to agree with you or believe you. I mean, you don't have to treat somebody nastily about their experiences, but also too, as an experiencer, you don't have to give that back to them if they give that to you as well. So it's a whole lot. Experiencers got a lot on their plate. So if you're an experiencer, take a step back, right? You know what I mean? Ground yourself. Um, try to rein the experiences in a little bit. If you feel like you can't, there's no shame in getting like help, medical help. Therapists are good, psychologists, you know what I mean? I would say go with a therapist. They might be able to help you unpack some of these things a little bit more before going into a public forum, and kind of unloading a lot of all of this stuff, because if it's ontological for you, imagine how ontologically shocking it could be for another individual. And that's what I would say about it.
I think we definitely should support experiencers, and I'm really interested and curious in hearing experiencers' stories. But I think we need more focus on experiencers for sure, because it does seem to be like very government disclosure right now. So that's for sure. One of the problems, of course, with the experiencers, they're anecdotes, and we don't have any like testable, falsifiable, repeatable, physical stuff to kind of like make this, talk about grounding, right? Make this based in reality. And I think some people, I don't know, they get hot under the collar. I can understand it sometimes though. I don't know. I just experiencers have like report such vastly different things, and at least on a public basis, and maybe even like related to disclosure, if we can never pin down what it is, can't we expect division? Like, of course there would be division, because most of the things we talk about in the public are related to the world that all of us live in. So I guess what I'm trying to say with that is, it does seem like too many people are interpreting criticisms as like attacks, like I'm being attacked by this person. And I'm not really anyone to disprove anyone's like experience. You know, when you're posting pictures or videos and I know exactly what you're looking at and you won't listen to me and you're saying I'm attacking you, it's just, are we pursuing truth? Are we pursuing knowledge, or are we just entertaining people's, you know, frankly, like anomalous experiences could be totally real and maybe they shouldn't mean that much actually. Because if it doesn't, if it, that's what reality is. It's something we all experience, right? So I agree with almost everything you said, Christian, but at the same time, I mean, you said this too. I think experiencers, if you're going to go public, you should expect like people picking your story apart, right? And especially if you're doing like pictures and video. But I don't know. I don't think we should be too soft gloves, you know, especially on people who are coming out willingly. And I think Chris O'Leary, and I'll end on this. Sorry, he was really interesting to me because I mean, you know, I guess someone once said in the space, believe all experiencers, which I think is whatever. That's a whole different thing. But if that's true and we're to believe Chris O'Leary, like he shits on like modern ufology and I find it hilarious. It's like but that's all different thing. So do we believe him? Like, because his experiences are, you know, it's him, his brother, his whole family. And they're a lot more physical, right? These aren't liminal states. These aren't like astral projection. He was like physically taken in a craft and stuff. And of course, we can't prove any of that. But if he's saying everyone else is bullshit, then is that true? It just is. You can only get so far if you're not going to be based in like some kind of evidence that we can all validate here in this reality, you know?
Did Chris get regressed, Kimball?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Just making sure.
I thought about it, but yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with both of you. I think that is the core issue is finding the fine line between how do you approach like a hostile quote unquote experiencer or somebody going through something or experiencing something that they can't define, and maybe you can, or maybe you're skeptical of it, right? And how do you choose when to say something when you don't, right? And then at the same time, when you're getting ridiculed for not believing in what they are claiming, it's like you got to really like have experience in dealing with just people like who are set in their own belief systems. So yeah, I mean, I get you, Kimball. It's just it's a hard game, to be honest. I think that's a lot of like what the discourse in this community is that you have a lot of conflicting ideologies, and then it always comes to a front, and weirdly on a political systemic like reality, which in my opinion it's like very strange, you know what I mean? But I guess you can say America is almost at the forefront of this quote unquote disclosure movement, and it is very politicized. So I mean, I get it, but at the same time it's a little cringy. So that's my take.
I like what you said about that, Paul, like approaching experiencers. Like how would you approach, you know, somebody who's believes very staunchly in their religion, right? You know, like they're very, very adamant about their religion being the true religion, the only religion. You have to have a lot of patience, right? You have to, because you're not going to agree with everyone, and some people are not going to like you just for being you. Like that's the way that it goes, right? It doesn't mean that you have to react. And I think reacting is that's a big issue. I think that we run into since the invention of the internet, right? It's like we don't have that face-to-face interaction with individuals to say, you know what, maybe I don't need to say anything right now. Maybe I don't need to engage because I can see that this individual's visibly upset. I can see that they're very adamant about what they believe. So me engaging with them anymore in this point in time would be useless because they're not going to hear me. We reach a point in discourse with one another where we hit that wall, and it's like if I say anything else, this is going to turn into a shouting match. we're just going to start disparaging one another. It takes a lot, especially on the internet, to not engage with stuff that's going to, trigger individuals to become that, like, so set on, like, this is that how it is, this is the way that it has to be, and no other way. And yeah, the internet's responsible for that. So knowing when to engage and knowing when to disengage are extremely useful tools with this. As far as disclosure is concerned, though, the experiencers are where disclosure is going to happen. Like, I believe that that's the thing that I've seen, especially with government disclosure as a whole now at this point. It's not going to come from the government. They're actively trying to, as you can see, trying to not have anything come out, like, very publicly, it seems, too. They're trying to expose the leaks in the system. They're trying to obfuscate everything and make it go away permanently. My take is that experiencers are the only line to the truth. And if you can ground an experiencer enough, right, whether it be through therapy or, just anything at this point, that they can piece together their experience, and then you might be able to get a piece of the puzzle with clarity, and then those things can come together and you might actually come to some form of disclosure.
Yeah, I agree. I think we had a pretty interesting question, and then after this, once we kind of get everybody's kind of thoughts around this, we can maybe shut it down for the night. Hopefully, maybe somebody will throw a debrief space or something. That'd be cool. So, what are y'all's thoughts on abductees saying their consciousness or astral body is actually being kidnapped by NHI? Does anyone have any video evidence of being taken from their bedroom? Genuinely curious. That is a great question. I don't think there is any real abduction footage of somebody being taken, at least that I'm aware of. So I don't know. I think we talked about the liminal state aspect of abductions in Paul Vidal's episode. That may be something to kind of refer to. I don't really have an articulate answer around that, but I think there's maybe something to the collective consciousness and whether it's a liminal state or sleep paralysis, whatever you want to call it. Something's happening there, and it's still worth talking about at the end of the day. So that's my opinion on that. Let's see. I'd love to actually get Grider's take maybe on. I know he's not really. I haven't really heard him talk much about abductions, but I wonder what he thinks about the abduction phenomena, and whether or not any of this is just psychological, or if there's any truth to the physicality of it all, and documentation in terms of video. I don't think there is, as far as I know. But what do you think, Ryder? And then we'll toss it around.
I have absolutely no idea. And like I said before, I'm not looking to come out and make any critical statements of, especially people who have had abduction experiences. I defer all of my, I guess I kind of side with Craft Beard, the stuff that he has said about, and really, like, that's not something I really want to take a definitive stance on, because it is so serious, right? I mean, it's really sensitive, right? And I don't want to upset, and I don't know too. Like, I mean, according to Chris O'Leary and Fringe, who I like and who I trust, who I think are, decent, honest people, they said, I saw in a tweet, Fringe said that over 6 million people have been abducted in the United States is the number that she came up with. And that's based on Chris O'Leary, I think, is what it's based on something, that she considered to be, dependable and fairly accurate. So I mean, that's a lot of people, man. That's a lot of lives that have been just kind of, yeah, man. I don't know. I don't have any opinion, is what I'm saying.
No, that's fine. And well, I think your opinion, you kind of subtly highlighted it, right? Like more on the lines of like kind of the way craft beer depicts it. And again, that was sort of what I was saying whenever I was saying, well, even if this is all psychological, right? There's still something very interesting about why people are experiencing that for whatever case, if it is some type of hallucination. So at the end of the day, those conversations are still very interesting, right? If it has nothing to do with aliens, it's like, what is that? What's happening inside of that person's mind at that time? So no, I think you made a good point. I mean, that's a very civil way to put it. You know what I mean? You're not trying to judge anybody or anything like that. So thank you, Grider. I appreciate that, man. Let's get to Miss McGillicuddy, then we'll go Chris Meyer, Kimby, and then Christian.
I think that first of all, I've never seen any footage. I've never seen any footage of someone being
Fair.
but you know, my personal experiences have been in the liminal space. I've also had bruises, marks, things that you know, I won't get into like my whole spiel because I grounded today, Christian, every day. But you know, I think that you brought up something, Paul, in regards to kind of like what's going on in the minds, and I kind of think, you know, I'll try to shorten this with people, whether it's a, you know, shadow demon experience, or it's aliens that you're seeing, or Nordics, you know, whatever, you know, put your brand on there. They're very similar experiences that are happening on both sides. I Most of mine have been on the shadow dark side, but I've had same experiences that the people in the UFO community are having. It just is showing itself in a different way to me. Um, with that said, I think in a nutshell, either way you look at it, there's this level of um, whoever is being, I don't want to say victimized, but I mean that has happened to me in those spaces. There's a level of trauma that's wanting to be induced on the person. Shock value, whatever the level on a scale of trauma, right? And it's they test the waters sometimes. Maybe they show up this way. For me, they show up this way, although they've showed themselves both ways. But for the most part, it's been one way. They're looking for, they're testing the water for this whatever response they're wanting to get. You know, Fringe herself, she's talked a lot about, and a lot of other experiencers, including myself, have gotten to a place of non-compliance, and then everything changes. Because before I was a goddess and all of these things, and I'm special, and then all of a sudden it's like, why are you so difficult? And maybe it's because this started affecting my kids. You know, once I realized that we've all heard that this is a thing. I think either way, you know, whether we also have heard that these things conveniently never end up on tape, like little snips of time when the situation occurred is gone or glitched or whatever. The equipment fails. So there's something that is very other side of the veil about this, right? It's like it's energetic. It's and I think that I mean, I know what I've gone through. I'm not alone. Being there for other people is great. Having kind of a reciprocal thing happen. Yes, it is scary when you get people who all they want to do is like narcissistically attack me if I go on and want to say something, or I'll find myself triggered and I'll spill too much. I agree with Christian that we need to do, you know, as experiencers, people in a nutshell need to have compassion, grace with each other. We should have grace with each other, grace for ourselves, grace for each other. This is a wild table filled with so many things that more than likely are all true. So, and all connected in some very unseen way, not tangibly proof way, I guess. Um, I'm getting sidetracked. I apologize. I'm looking at my cat. But you know, the only thing that I agree with Christian on the disclosure. I think everybody kind of feels that way, that like disclosure is happening through all of this that we're in, that we poke around in. But with the way the government is showing, and the lack of like Christian said, the president coming forward saying, "Hey, guess what? This is real." It leads me to believe that, not only do we have these actors who's playing the part as, the person with the photograph, or the person in this next interview with whistleblowing, that's kind of a very cataloged way. They want to look for leaks. Well, I think in this area where we're all swimming around in, we're also being, perhaps, for lack of a better term, organized, added up, cataloged, for less of a better word, to see, because we're sharing. We have nowhere else to go. We're sharing with each other this way. We all live in different parts of the country, but we can share our experiences, and without naming names of people who seem to be in every single space that seem to have everything to say. BC Smart, sorry. It's.
Don't bring your drama in here, Miss Matt.
I'm not bringing any drama. I like energy vampires. Just I stay away from them. They're
Kreider has a
they're
great
interesting.
energy vampire song. Just saying. Just saying.
Can we get Colin from What They Do in the Shadows to cover it? That's all I'm concerned about. I think he'd be down. In a nutshell, I think we all know what's going on, right? We know nothing is adding up because it's by design. And whatever we have to do, we're going to have to do it on our own. We're going to have to figure things out. Do the simple things that we can, grounding, having grace for, being mindful. And we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know if we're going to wake up tomorrow, God willing, all of us. But it's only going to get weirder. It's only going to get more frustrating. And, with experiences like myself, it's not stopping. So I'm just using it as an opportunity to be ready for whatever weird battle we may have, right? Hey,
Yeah.
oh, you need someone to fight in the liminal space? Damn, I've been doing this my whole life. I'm ready. Oh, and guess what? My kids are trained up in this. I'll bring them with me. That's where I'm at. So I make my way. Just for any experiences out there, if you go in a room and you're feeling maybe triggered, just leave. You don't know anybody, any apologies, just leave. If someone's coming in with this or whatever, I leave now. I won't even be a listener, and if they don't invite you back or they kick you off, who cares? We're not in high school anymore, so let's not act like that. And I'm the one that put the cafeteria joke down earlier, but you know what I mean. I'm obviously joking about it. But yeah, just have grace. We got to have grace for each other, and we need to buckle up. And if you have experience, or if you know an experiencer, and things are going to get weirder, which they will, befriend them. I'm serious. They're probably going to help you more than you could imagine in the most weird way. So, yeah. It's like a little life bonus gift. It's like a weird trauma gift that actually turns into a superpower. You never know. I got your back, you guys. Seriously. I've had some weird stuff go on. And I'm ready for it. So
well, I appreciate that, and I think everybody listening appreciates the loyalty. You know what I mean? It's hard to come by in this community, so I appreciate your take on that. Let's toss it around, guys. We're here almost at the top of the hour. Let's get this puppy done here before the top of the hour. So, Chris Meyer, what do you got for us? Either attributed to Margie's question or any ending thoughts, and then we'll go Kimby, Christian, and we'll get it going. So, what do you got for us, man?
Well, I find the abductions fascinating because my abduction was just my mind, and I didn't know anybody that had a similar experience until I joined UFO X in 2021, and then I learned that I'm not alone. Although I've only met a few people that have like just the astral abduction or whatever you want to call it. I call it my mind abduction. So and that was when I was 9 years old in 1994. So I mean, I don't even think I had any kind of camera to record it when that happened. But also, a lot of these happen when you're woken up in the paralyzed state. So how would you even be able to record it? You know what I mean? But I mean, I guess you could set up a security camera and see what happens. I've seen videos, strange videos where people disappear and just come back. Maybe they were abducted. Yeah, I don't know. It looks pretty real to me. I'm fascinated about all kinds of abduction stories, and I want to know what's going on. Is it some quantum thing? Is it my labs? Is it just astral abductions or mind abductions that people that they think are physical, kind of like a dream but not really a dream, like they're like in another dimension type of thing. Maybe what I had was not I don't think it was a dream, but it could be some kind of new type of dream in a different dimension that we don't even have a definition for or whatever. Who knows what it is? I'm here to find out what these abductions are, and I think that's what we're all here for, to find answers.
Oh, I love it, Chris. Thank you for being honest and sharing your experience and, your opinion. And like I told you before, man, we still got to get you on your solo episode. So I'll be looking forward to that. Thank you, man. I
Definitely.
appreciate that. Kimby, what do you got for us?
Yeah, thanks. I told you guys about some of my liminal experiences, and they are really interesting, and I think we should be talking about them. I think I put them in a different box. I definitely put them in a different box than I do UFOs and other paranormal stuff. Maybe they are connected somehow, but James Iandoli, I think I like his approach because he's definitely had some as well, but he doesn't even talk about them because he recognizes the subjectivity behind what liminal states are, kind of, and just how the subconscious can affect things you're seeing. And if you're into UFOs and you saw a Chinese lantern and you thought it was an orb, you're going to be thinking about that stuff, and then you're going to have liminal experiences and you see aliens, right? So it's possible. I'm not saying that's what it is, but again, these are psychology and consciousness studies. They're all kind of aligned with the UFO stuff because they're kind of they escape our, we can't quite pin them down, so
Yeah,
that's all I would say.
There's definitely some subconscious interaction happening always, and then sometimes maybe it pushes itself to the front of the line, and then we experience it in these subliminal states, or maybe in a psychedelic state or something. But
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I agree with that. I agree with that, Ken. Well, that's such a great point. I think we got, real quick, if it's okay, Christian, Parsi wanted to say, hey, real quick, what's up, Max?
Let's
How's it
go.
going?
What's
Hey
up, brother?
everyone, how's it going? Great to see everyone.
Parsley?
Sorry I'm not my best dressed here. This is freaky looking at myself on TV and on the phone. Hey Magli Culty, I don't
Good to
want to
see you,
mispronounce
Parsi.
your name. Paul, Christian, Kimby, man, your head is so shiny I could kiss it right now.
Yeah, I'm not sweaty. I just have an oily face, I guess.
Nah, it's
No,
just so
he's lying.
mesmerizing. Screw the NHI and the UFOs, man. I just want to come and kiss your forehead
Yeah,
now.
you should blow my head up big. We could look at my forehead.
And Grider's here. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, Grider. I'm really, really curious about Dr. Blitch's upcoming book, The Abduction Amnesty Not, where he is apparently saying we need to forgive these NHI that apparently are abducting people. So I'm really curious to hear more from him. Do you have much to say on this, Grider?
I do not, other than I support John Blitch. I think he's a great American. I think he's one of the best men to ever live. And there is a John Blitch space in the works that's going to be happening. Potentially, what I'm hoping for is it's going to be myself, uh, most likely Chris O'Leary, and then I'm thinking maybe Fringe, maybe, right? Because Fringe has kind of voiced, she's kind of been, I don't know, like, she's kind of taken a liking to me, since I came out with the John Blitz Society, and I think, it's kind of, it's good for experiencers, and I do truly mean everything that I say about John Blitz. I am kind of being a little bit overzealous with it to kind of make a couple of points, but I mean, he is an experiencer that I believe, that I trust, and that I think is a great American, and he's a veteran who's not lying about his service, which is so rare in my, from my perspective. That's something that really just has a great effect on me. So I don't have any inside information, but we're gonna have a space here soon, and I'm hoping in the next month, and then we'll have all the questions you guys could ever have to ask. Like, we'll be able to ask the man himself. So all that I know is that for sure is that he's advising the book that Chris O'Leary and Chris O'Leary's brother Sean are currently in the middle of writing. I think is like they're like halfway through writing it, and it's going to be like a biopic of their entire abduction experience over the course of their life. And I think John Blitch is going to maybe write the forward, something like that. So it's exciting. I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah, I just want to thank every one of you guys. I mean, we all can agree to disagree with stuff that's happening on X, but I think we're all kind of focused and staying the course. So I really appreciate you guys. Much love to all of you. And yeah, the Blitz Society is amazing. I have tried to reach out through the back channels to speak to Dr. Blitch because of my experiences with the mantids. So who knows, maybe he's watching this and he might reach out. So, but thank you guys. I appreciate you all. Have a great day. I'm out of here now.
Thank you for coming.
Love you,
Hey,
man.
brother.
Mac. Thank you,
Take
Mac,
care,
for always
guys.
being cool, man.
Mac,
Really
I'm gonna
appreciate it.
send you a
That's
picture
it.
of my forehead, brother. I got you.
Yeah, man.
Ooh.
I'm gonna kiss your forehead when I meet you. See you
Ooh.
guys.
See you, man.
Oh, it's so funny.
Such a nice
That was
guy.
awesome. Love Parsi. Love
That was
Parsi.
nice of him to come by and say hi.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Christian, what do you got for us to end out the night, brother?
Oof. Well, what do you call it? As far as the abductions are concerned, I also don't personally know of any actual footage of abductions happening in real time. And I don't know how exactly you would capture an astral abduction taking place unless you had some very expensive equipment, like very expensive. I was saying that in the chat that us, like, normal individuals don't have the type of funding to be able to document the phenomena, at least provably. As far as abductions are concerned, though, like that was one of my experiences that I did have. And I was a teenager and I was not heavily involved in this topic when this occurred for me. And whether or not like it was in my mind could be argued, but the physical sensation that I had being in what I would consider fully lucid, I wasn't asleep. I wasn't, any of that. And the marks that were left on my body after the fact, as well as being released from whatever I was in the clutches of and hitting off of my bed, bouncing off the bed, and rolling onto the floor. That was, as an individual, right, and especially, and I'll give a different perspective here as a man, right? We want to feel in control. That's one thing as a man, that you have full agency of yourself. You're a strong individual. And that was one thing that I'll never forget, ever, is not being able to move. Even my eyes, I couldn't even move my eyes. They were locked right into place. So yeah, the abduction phenomena is something that I believe is very real. I don't know how it is that it really works. But I know that it's very real, and there are people that are going through this and that they're suffering. And after experiencing it myself personally, it gives you a perspective that you don't want to know. You don't want to have that perspective. You really, truly don't. So I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. So if somebody comes to you and tells you that they've had an abduction experience, try to give them some grace and some courtesy, because that is something that is more ontological than I think a lot of us can even wrap our minds around. And that's what I'll say about it. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having the space tonight, brother.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best takes we've heard on that tonight, and I appreciate that, Christian, because I know how hard that experience was for you personally. We don't have to get into the details, but it's always nice to hear somebody, you know what I mean? It doesn't sound like you're trying to shove your personal experience down anybody's throat. It just sounds like you're just being honest with your own experience. And I think that that's all you can do, right? I mean, it's kind of like what Grider's point was, right, about craft beer and how it's still interesting, right? Even Miss McGillicuddy was talking about it, right? What's happening inside the mind, right? And I think that that's something that this community specifically needs to have more conversations about, like actually set up an organized space or something, right? All right, let's talk about what's happening during these liminal states, right? In terms of like abduction experiences, and how could we maybe pinpoint some commonalities, right? And I don't think that collaboration is there. I mean, we talk about it, right? But we're not organizing around it. It's like you said earlier, right, Christian, about Gary Nolan and all this, like the Moo Pass and all these other data like sets that are out there, and nobody's talking about any of that, or at least organizing. I shouldn't say that. Grider's done some great research, right? He set up some organized spaces around like the things he's done with his research. So can't discredit the whole community, right? But I'm just saying, it's just, I don't know. I think we need to get a little more organized, right? Let's maybe stop talking about people for a little bit and maybe just start
get
organizing around. Yeah,
Let's get dangerous.
I knew somebody was going to say it.
Dude, we need to have a danger zone. I think we gotta do a danger zone space here tonight. I don't know. I mean, unless you're, tired out from being dangerous for the entire weekend. Oh, we got theme songs and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like what I was saying, if anybody wants to do a debrief there on X, it'd be pretty cool, after. So somebody toss something up, guys. Everybody, I appreciate the entire panel tonight. This was super fun. I'm glad I came back to X. It looks like this stuff it's getting out there now that we're being able to, share things and actually get connected with good people. So I want to thank you all again for joining the panel tonight. Christian, thanks again for co-hosting. And everybody else who were in the chat tonight, thank you all too. So
Thanks,
everyone
Paul.
have a good night. And peace, everybody.
Good night.
Peace.